welcome our supportive parents, step-parents, and grandparents, the friends, brothers, and sisters that were dragged here against their will, the teachers who want to renegotiate their contracts so they don't have to listen to these things anymore, the crazy uncles who weren't invited but snuck in anyway. I see you, Uncle Al. And of course, the class of 2015. We made it. I still distinctly remember the day that my parents told me we were packing up and moving to this neighborhood, and that I'd be spending my high school years as a Riverdale Maverick. I had never heard of Riverdale, and any association I had with the word Maverick came from Top Gun. Worried that my parents wouldn't let me go to high school if I asked them what exactly my school mascot was, I turned to the world's most unreliable resource, Wikipedia, for answers. Miss Logan's favorite resource described a Maverick as an unbranded calf, cow, or steer, which is separated from its mother and the pack. It explained that Mavericks were independent, lone dissenters. I was fully prepared to enter a school full of loners. I learned in the next 4 years that the class of 2015 is anything but a pack of loners. Of course, I've done my fair share of wandering the halls alone, but whether sitting in the middle of community meeting or talking to a teacher about a paper long after she's required to be in the building, it's impossible to feel alone at this school. I have to disagree with Wikipedia on this one, or whoever chose the school mascot, because in this room of Mavericks tonight, and every day at Riverdale, I feel a sense of togetherness. Generally speaking, when you're dressed in a robe at 7 p.m., it means you're pretty antisocial, but tonight in our robes, I think we might be the exception. Many people see the tiny, united community that is Riverdale as a bubble that will leave us woefully unprepared for the real world. Some may argue that we've had our hands held a little too tightly, and will be lost in a future filled with rapid climate change, economic collapse, a global water crisis, and a permanent cave oil collection. And even though Ms. Robinson does occasionally call us her children, I have no doubt that we'll succeed when we leave this big, dysfunctional family. Why? Because of everything we've learned while growing up at Riverdale. Because the sense of compassion and thoughtfulness that's instilled in every student who walks through the school. Because all of us are getting on planes, or going in trains or cars to somewhere, but our profound sense of connection isn't going anywhere. The world might be a track race against time, but Guy Euro probably ran around that track 30 times already today, and he'll continue to push me to run a little faster. The solid ground we stand on might be as thin as eggshells, but I know that Gary Hagen can crack that eggshell with one hand and whip it into a meat souffle. Life may be like a game of chess, changing with each move, but as long as Dimitri Murphy is thinking 2 steps ahead, I know that a checkmate is inevitable. And when life feels like an iPhone passcode that I just can't crack, I know that Tall Wolf will be there to hack into it for me. No matter how many reunions we have, the chances are that after tonight, we'll never be together as a whole class again. But knowing that there are Mavs around the world, solving society's challenges and willing to help me with my own, will make me feel so supported. And to our teachers, you're Mavericks too. I can say with confidence that the Riverdale teaching staff could be making a lot more money in different career paths. Mr. Palma, for example, could be a Broadway star, or a master dog trainer with his own Animal Planet show. Mr. Preacher, on the other hand, could be a NASA scientist or a male model. Mr. Brown could be one of the world's greatest sommeliers. Oh wait, he already is. And in 3 years, we better take all of us wine tasting. Ms. Lepore could be running the Oregon Zoo rather than a zoo of 241 students, and Mr. Wechter could also go by Mr. Universe if he wanted to, but chooses instead to transform scrawny teenage boys into hunky bodybuilders who can build the world's best bridges. Yeah. Teachers, you've inspired us, you've given us opportunity, you've made us the people we are as we shake your hands and walk out today. Miss Finnerty's American Literature class has taught us to check under our beds every night for a pear-shaped man, and Miss Strokush's yoga class has given us the upper body strength to fight him if he's there. Miss Sophie has taught every girl to stand for nothing short of equality, and every guy to fight to close the gap as if it was their own adversity. Miss PB has taught us that chances are we've had more support and opportunity than anyone in our family before us, which means that we also have an obligation to help people who haven't had the same privilege. And up until a few months ago, I thought I had learned everything there was to learn at Riverdale. That day, I wandered into Mr. Murray's office, hoping that he could confirm that I had made the right college decision. True to Mr. Murray's often complicated and dialectic style, he handed me a book called Excellent Sheep, The Miseducation of the American Elite and the Way to a Meaningful Life. At first, I was a little offended, but it took reading the book to realize that he wasn't telling me I had made the wrong college decision. He was encouraging me, even as a senior, to go deeper into my education. It took reading this book to realize that I'm on the stage right now, not because I was the best Maverick, but because I got the grades, checked the boxes, and unknowingly earned the title as the best sheep and the worst Maverick. I think I made my mistake somewhere between 5th and 8th grade, when I got the idea that it was an A or the pat on the back that meant success. But I have all of you to thank for changing me, for teaching me that sometimes it's the C- or the slap on the wrist that means you've really succeeded. Being a Maverick means learning how to release the grip on all the things that you've been taught to care about, so you can care for the sake of caring, learn for the sake of learning, and find your passion. Being a Riverdale Maverick means knowing how to communicate that message, to share that passion with others. Sure, Patricia Torvalds may have started out as a solo Maverick, and her feminist tweets that everyone was too scared to retweet. But I knew that when 50 kids used their lunch hour to come in and discuss gender inequality and dress code issues in our school, she wasn't alone anymore. Sure, Megan Larkin may have started out as a lone vigilante in her rampage to save the environment, but I knew that when I watched kid after kid unscrew the plastic cap off their water bottle and proudly recycle last week in the Maverick room, she wasn't alone anymore. Sure, some people may look at Gary Hummel's job as the custodian and think that his life doesn't fit the traditional bill of success. But as he leaves Riverdale this year, I can say that he's one of the wisest, most successful people I've ever met. And I know I'm not alone. My dad never walked across the stage at graduation. He took his GED and ran from traditional education, from the bullies, from the lull of standardized tests and external gratification as quickly as he could. My dad was a Maverick, but to a certain extent, he was the kind of Maverick they describe on Wikipedia. The ones who are so caught up in their genius and their rebellion that they can't get other Mavericks on board. If my dad was here right now, part of me thinks that he'd be proud, but part of me thinks he'd laugh and say, how the hell did your mom let you get so boring and straight edge to be speaking at graduation? And maybe I am boring. But I know that if my dad could have gone to a place as caring as Riverdale High School, he would have wanted to walk across the stage too. One of the last things he said to my mom, the person I want to thank most for getting me here today, was, I wish I would have let myself be a part of something bigger. We'll do big things, Mavericks, but don't forget to let yourself be a part of something bigger. I feel so grateful to be a part of the class of 2015, and I hope you'll join me in one last glorious SCOMAS. 1, 2, 3, SCOMAS! Thank you.